Hello and welcome to the Srijan Wednesday webinars. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is a community initiative by Srijan Technologies, where you can tune into a variety of sessions across the fields of technology, entrepreneurship, and community building. In today's session, we are joined by Sugandh Khanna from Srijan. Sugandh is going to take us through the challenges she faced while migrating content from a remote Drupal 8 site, and then she talks about her discoveries of the best modules to get the job done. Before we begin, I would like to request all participants to please type in any questions that you have during the presentation, and we will take them up in the last 15 minutes of this session. Also, please don't forget to take the conversation live on Twitter using our hashtag SrijanWW. Now that's over, let's get right to it. Sugandh, over to you.
Hello everyone, this is Sugandh. So today I will share my knowledge with you guys on how we can migrate content from one Drupal instance to another. So it happens so many of times, like we have a Drupal 8 site and we want to migrate content from like dev server to the staging server and the production server, and so if there are a lesser number of nodes, so it can be easy for us to just create one or two nodes manually. But what if you have a bunch of nodes like 500 or 1,000 or 2,000? Then in this case, how are you gonna do like this? So one option you have here, definitely, like you can write a whole bunch of long script and then write and then create a mapping procedure, and so it's a very long way. And yeah, so many of times we got error in our code and the script doesn't get run properly, and we have broken type of contents we want to migrate. So like if you are kind of a lazy person and you want your job to do it at the quickest way, then you can definitely use these modules which I'm going to introduce. So yeah, why are we here? Definitely, let's say a content type and a few fields. I have a site A with some content type and a few fields, and a site B with same content type and same fields. And we want to have a similar content on both the sites. In fact, you have a large amount of data. So how are you going to import that whole bunch of content from site A to site B? A condition is like, obviously you are not gonna create all the content manually, and the another condition is you're a bit late, like you want to get things get done in a specified interval of time, you have deadlines and you're not having enough time to investigate or thorough study of all the modules and writing a whole bunch of script. So what you will do in that case? So obviously we generally do is first we Google like this is a content migration, so how we're gonna do this. So I just type, okay, I want to do the content migrate from D8 to D8, and there comes a plenty of options, like you can use this in this module, and I have seen much options, like you can retrieve the content in the JSON format and then you write the whole script. uh, then you're gonna do the serialization and all that stuff. So the easiest way I'm introducing here is the contributed modules that do your job in a very quickest way. So here we will discuss the contributed modules, if there are any. And yes, there are lots of modules which you can use, but I have introduced here only 3 modules that will serve your purpose. And also the modules are having dependencies and yeah, challenges to install those modules. So I'll discuss here also that. I'll share here 3 modules. One is a content sync, second one is a views data export, and the third one is content import. So basically the content sync, we will discuss one by one. The content sync is basically for exporting and importing data if you are on a same server, like you have a clone site of one repository and you want to import data to, like, for example, dev to staging to production and so on. And the other two modules, views data export and content import, it's like a divide and rule policy, like introduced by Britishers. We have heard in our history so far. So it's like, first divide the things, like first you're gonna export the content from your site, and then you will gonna import the content in some another site. And yeah, in this case it's not mandatory, like you should have the clone of your site or a server. So coming on to next, we have the content sync module. So basically I'm going to enable it and will show you the demonstration, like how it exactly works. But a few points that we have to remember here is, like, you should have the clone instances. Like I already told you, like dev, then staging, then production. This type of instances you should have, where the UUID should be same. UUID is a unique for the individual site, but if you have the clone instances, then it can be the same. And a small change we will do in settings.php file that I'll show you in the demonstration. And yeah, we have to create one folder content in inside sync, and we have to assign the permission 777. Later on, you can change this permission also. And I also enabled this validation check. So these are the few points that we have to remember. Coming on to the demonstration. So here are my two instances. First one is like here 856 Drupal, and the second is this clone site. So if you see here, what we are going to do is export the content from this. We just want to replicate the content here inside this clone. So if you see the content section of both the sites, here you have three content, and here you nothing have any content is there. So I'm just quickly showing you the demonstration. We just want to replicate these content to here. So first we're gonna enable the module. So going into extend, and we have a module here, content sync. Okay, here it is, and I'm going to install it. In the meanwhile, I can show you what content sync module do. So this is the contributed module that Drupal provides. So we have here the content synchronization. This will give you a tab of content synchronization, and you can here export the full site content, import site full content. These all features are provided by this module. Okay, so our module is installed. Module content sync has been enabled. Going into the configuration, content synchronization. Here you can see the beautiful UI this module provides. So here it is saying, like, the content directory type sync doesn't exist. This is the one small challenge. So let's create a directory. Sites, part, files. Okay, so this is a content, and this is a sync directory that has been created in this repository. Also, we have to set the path so that Drupal can recognize like where this thing directory is being accessed. So for this, we will go into the settings.php file, and here we will make Drupal recognize like where are sync directories. So we just have to declare one variable, content directories as a global. And here we will give our path where our folder exists. And a quick cache clear. So here is my Drupal instance, and I'm clearing the cache via Drush. Then meanwhile, just see the UI, like what it provides. Here is the import where you can import the single item, and you can import the full archive. And similarly in export also, you have the single item export and archive. So let's check, is our brush clear the cache? Okay, so cache rebuild completes. Let's check into the issue. Okay, the error was showing is just now gone, and we are safe here. Like Drupal recognized the directory from where the whole content gets exported or imported. Now we're going to export the content. As I have shown you, there are only 3 contents right now. So let's start with a single item export. So content type, content name, article. And this is the title of your content. So you can just save, copy this auto-generated YAML file here. I'm going to copy this and I will paste it. This is my another instance, Drupal 856 clone. And then configurations again, I have the module content synchronization. And here in import, single item import, I'll paste here and put it. So this is what's saying entity retirement program node ID is 5 imported successfully. Let's check like is it been created or not. So here you can see retirement program is created. So this is for the single export. Now we will try for the whole bunch of nodes, the archive export. Starting content export. So it will give you the whole entities. If you have a user, it also get imported. If you have the nodes of any entity can be exported from here. And I'm gonna download the star file. So this gets downloaded. Now I'm gonna import this archive. Here it is. And our import is in progress. So your content files are successfully uploaded. Let's go down and check. 2 new files and 2 changed files. So it will ask for the instruction like whether you want to import all content or not. And yes, you can check here the differences also. View differences. Let's import it. So these entities got created and these are in the sync directory. I can show you where it is in Drupal clone sites, defaults. So here you have all those content that get exported from that site. So yeah, that's it for this particular content type. So few points that we have to remember are first that these should have a clone instances. Second, a small change in settings.php file that I have shown you the part that should recognize like whether the sync directory exists or not. And yes, you have to assign the permissions. I have already assigned, so that's why it was not asking here right now, but it will ask you later on. And the skip uuid field validation. So here in settings, you can bypass the site uuid validation if your site is not cloned. So this can solve the purpose. Mm. Next, coming on to, and yeah, this content sync module provides basically the single export archive, single import and import archive that I already discussed with you. Now coming on to the next module, the divide and rule policy that was introduced by Britishers, yes. So we have here views data export module. Views data export module is a module that allows you to export large amount of data sets or data from your views, and you can export them in your CSV files, in your Microsoft XLS files, doc and text files. And you can simply enable this module via Drush, or also you can use the UI interface that is provided by the Drupal. And there are the few challenges that we got while installing this module. And this module has a dependency on a CSV serialization module. And this module requires this library. Now, if you have in your system PHP version less than 7.0, like I was previously having 5.6, so this module will not get installed on your system. And the reason behind this, the minimum requirement of PHP version here is 7.0. Now the next challenge I got is, yeah, obviously I upgraded my PHP, and still my PHP version got changed, but I wasn't able to install this module. The reason behind this is, for example, if you have a composer installed on your system, and at that time your PHP version was like 5.6, so composer remember that PHP version and it gets somewhere saved in its directory, and that the your command line will read the PHP version that was matched with the composer. So if you have 5.6 installed and that time you installed your composer, then your module will not get installed, because still it will read the PHP oldest version instead of your new version that you already updated. So let's install its dependencies. And yes, you can change the PHP version in XAMPP. I'm using XAMPP here. So from here you can install, change the PHP version. Like here you have versions list here. So 5.6, 7.0, and 7.1. So right now I'm having 7.0, and then I again install the composer with this PHP version, and my library gets able to install, and the command get executed for this module particularly. So let's go to the command line, and yeah, let me show you, like if you install this module, views data export directly on your system, what error it will show you. So here is the module. So it is saying CSV serialization missing. So you need to install the library. So here we will run composer require Drupal CSV serialization. Composer basically resolves all your dependencies in your module with respect to the module in your site. So it's very beneficial that if you install your module or your site or your any dependency or library with the help of composer, composer will get take care of every dependency. Yeah. It will take 2 or 3 minutes in order to the library gets installed, because this library, this module, the CSV serialization module, ultimately depends on a library. In order to save your time, I have already done this implementation in my cloned site, as you can see here. So, as you can see, I have run the command composer require Drupal CSV serialization. And first I was trying to enable it, and you can see like it is showing the error. The module views data export cannot be enabled because it depends upon the CSV serialization module. And then I run the composer require Drupal CSV serialization command, and these whole executions get done. It took some minutes. And then you can easily install your views data export module. Let's move to the demonstration. In the meanwhile, we will check if this composer will get run smoothly, and the CSV serialization library get installed on this repo also. Let me show you one instance where I have already installed the library and the module so that your time gets saved. So here we have, if we can check views data export, here is a module that is enabled uh, with all the dependencies get resolved. Let's move on to the demonstration quickly. So let's go to the views. Basically, the concept of the module is you can export the feeds in the form of a CSV format, and then you can import those CSV format with another module in your site where you want your content to get cloned. So I have created a view here. This view basically gives you the title, content, language, and these fields. Now we have to add this data export. And from here, you can choose your format to the CSV. And we are choosing here CSV because we have a module content import that basically imports the CSV only. So that's why we are choosing the format here only CSV right now. And we will set the path from where we can download. Let's save it. It still is in progress. Okay, so our view gets saved. Let's quickly go to the views. And here, if you can see, we just created basic page CSV data, this data export. So as you have seen it here, clicking on this link, download your CSV file in your system. So if I open this file and I'm going to change its format to CSV, as it's a module bug that it's not going us give us in .csv format. And I'm going to open it. So here is few content of basic page. And now we want this content to get replicated on our clone site. This is the role and the demonstration of views data export module. So this module basically provides you whole data in the CSV format. So, and here is the link of the module that Drupal provides, contributed module. As you can see here, this module is designed to provide a way to export large amounts of data from views and provides a display plugin that I have shown you, CSV, Microsoft Excel is this and this. And I have used the CSV format here. The reason I have told you because we have the importer that can only satisfy the CSV format. So yeah, that's it for views data export module. Now we are going to import the content. Our export is done. And inside we want the cloned content. So how are you gonna do this? So the third module, which I have shown you in the list, is a content import module. We can enable it simply with using rush command, rush enable content import. Let's quickly go to the demonstration. And so here we are on 8x6 clone site. Let's check if the module is enabled or not. This module is enabled. Let's configure it. This is a very simple UI this module provides. We want the basic page to get imported. And let's first download the CSV format in which format this module accepts your CSV. Here even this module will accept only this format. It means first you have exactly the same number of fields in site A and with respect to the site B. Secondly, here it is mentioned all the machine names or the field names you have in your site. So for example, in Drupal 856 clone, these are the all fields that it is providing. Content type, basic page. I have used the machine names as you have seen here in my CSV format, and it will import in the same aspect. It means we have to map the content we have just got earlier, the basic page data. If we compare the both the CSVs, you can notice like in basic page CSV data that we exported from the views data export, we don't have the machine names of the fields here. So we just have to map these fields so that we can easily import the content. I can quickly show you one demonstration here. Language, English, body. Hello world. Field link, let's make it empty now. XYZ and save it. I'm just showing you without mapping the fields first, and then we'll map the fields later. Where is the UI? Okay, here we are now. Select basic page and choose file. We have edited, I think, page 5. Okay, page 5, import. It will automatically get redirected on your content page. Let's see the magic. Demo 1, 2, 3. So the nodes get created automatically with the help of this module. And for the sake of simplicity and to save most of the members' time, I have done the mapping of these fields. This is the CSV with the mapped fields. This is the data we exported. And this is the CSV with mapped fields. If you can compare the header of both axles, the first row, here we have the machine names of all the content types of the content type basic page, the machine names. And here we have simply the title names, the fields that we have in without machine names. I'm just importing this CSV on my system. Select file, basic page, choose file. And the import is in progress. It will take few minutes. So if you can see here, whatever be in the title field, so we have the raw HTML. That's why we have here the HTML gets imported. You can check in the CSV. So here we have the raw HTML. That's why it is showing like this. But generally, we don't have any HTML like this in titles. I've just experimented so far and didn't change these HTML. So yeah, this is the demonstration of the third module, content import. A quick summary. We have here discussed 3 modules. Content sync. For this, you should have the cloned repository so that you can sync your content to dev to stage and stage to production. The second one is views data export. So if you don't have your cloned repository and cloned site and you just want to export the content in a local system on somehow in another site, in another Drupal 8 instance, then you can use the views data export. And I have used the CSV format here because content import only accepts the CSV for importing the content. And this is last the content import. And yes, views data export, please remember, like if you are using Composer, then the PHP version should be updated and it should be greater than or equals to 7. And in content import, you should remember like the mapping of the fields is very necessary. So it should be the machine names of your fields for which the content type you have been used. So yeah, thanks. Any questions?
Uh, Thank you, Sugandh, for taking us through that session. If any of the participants have any questions for Sugandh, they can type them in and we will take them up here. Meanwhile, we do have a couple of questions. First up is that three modules that you took us through. So, do you have any suggestions on which is the best scenario to use which module?
Yes. So if you want to migrate just content from your dev server to the stage server or from staging to the production, just generally we have the three levels. And these three are just a clone of one and another. In this scenario, you can use the module content sync, which has a dependency on a serialization module that is in Drupal 8 core. And if you don't have any clone site and there is a fresh Drupal 8 instance or some another site in remote, then you can definitely use the views data export module. Views data export will work everywhere, but for first one we have a small limitation, like it should be a clone server. Yeah.
Okay. Besides that, do you have a list of common things that usually go wrong when migrating and, suggestions on how to avoid those?
Yes, as far as I discussed, the few things went wrong and stuck also on this issue, difficult to replicate like what the scenario was, and because the library is not getting installed easily because it is dependent on the PHP version 7. And if even if you have upgrade your version to PHP version 7, it's still not able to make it install on your system. And the reason behind this, like if you far away installed the composer, because I was installing it via composer and I haven't tried any another method because it's the easiest way. And if you have so far installed the composer on your side, and at that time if you have the older version of PHP, then it's very difficult for your command line or for your library to check like from which PHP version it has to be get executed. So this is a one small challenge that I have faced while installing the views data export module.
Okay.
Yes.
Another question that we have got is that could you elaborate a little bit more on the content sync directory? Is that required just to sync the content, or will it be required permanently even after the sync?
Uh, it's the requirement of the module. So basically, when you are going to export the content, that site basically looks for some folder like, okay, from where should I import myself? Like there are a huge bunch of nodes and there are YAML files of those nodes, and those YAML files should be located some and somewhere. So that's why this module provides you a defined path. This defined path is already mentioned in your module file. If you will go to the Drupal Drupal contributed module page, so you can see like there is a path mentioned. So that's why this path is here, so that all the node YAML files should came to know, okay, that we have to go in that folder, and from that folder the import gets read. So this is the necessity of the folder which we have there. Yes.
Okay, okay, all right. I think that was a good answer for them. And finally, do you have a list of things to keep in mind when going into a migration of this sort? Like a checklist of things that you should ensure to make sure that nothing goes wrong?
A list of mine is always on a safety concern. We should have a backup of our site on which we are going to import the content or the migrate the content. So this is the safest site we should always use. We should always have a backup. And else after that, nothing I got listed. Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. So, okay, so out of the three that you listed, would you say one which is really one contrib module which is really good for a migration involving large size, which have like huge data sets and different formats of data?
Views data export is a very good module. Views, but it is incomplete without import, because there are two things, export and import. So it's basically serving only one purpose of exporting. So in order to complete the whole process, we should have the import module too. So views data export and content import will run in any case. Yes.
Okay, all right. So yeah, if any of our listeners have any questions, now would be the time to type them in, and we can take them up with Sugandh. Besides that, if you just need her to sort of maybe go over a particular portion or a particular module, you can also let us know about that. Meanwhile, Sugandh, any last words for our attendees?
Um. No, thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, I think with that we've come to a close of this session. Thank you, Sugandh, for sharing all your experiences with us, and thanks to all the audience for joining us here. Our next session is going to be on 29th of August, and the registration details will be with you soon. So that's it for today. Thank you, everyone.